Blue Origin and SpaceX have been involved in a combat that has become a global trend. Frankly, SpaceX has recently been doing great in the aspect of creating starships that will soon embark on various space missions to Mars and the Moon, which Musk is determined to accomplish before 2030. On the other hand, Blue Origin has been in the space game for a long time now, but something happened that made the founder of Blue Origin, who is also the founder of Amazon, enter a short fuse with the CEO of SpaceX, Elon Musk. The issue started perpetuating ever since Elon Musk won the NASA's long-term contract to send most of their satellite and cargo into orbit. Before then, billionaire Jeff Bezos has since been bidding for partnership with NASA, but didn't have his chance in. Welcome TechSpace. Stay glued to this video as we reveal how Blue Origin plans to take over SpaceX in the nearest future and become the company in charge of most space contracts. The space race of billionaire entrepreneurs has now become a rivalry in the space industry. The mission of private space companies in the 21st century is to send rockets to orbit and other planets like the Moon and Mars. Though before now, SpaceX and Blue Origin have long had a history of conflict. Virtually, Blue Origin is trying to scale up competition with SpaceX. Way back in 2013, Blue Origin and SpaceX battled for the right to lease LC-39A, the rocket platform that was used to launch the Apollo moon mission. But SpaceX won the lease in 2013, and Blue Origin again filed another suit that same year. But unfortunately, the LC-39A was handed over to SpaceX, while Blue Origin head over to rent the SLC-36 instead. SpaceX later filed a suit against Blue Origin in 2014, where they agitated to invalidate their patent on landing rockets aboard ships at the sea. Though SpaceX had since attempted to land rockets on the sea since 2014, but failed and later succeeded in 2016. So SpaceX and Blue Origin has been throwing suit against each other over the years, and as a result, a strong fuse eventually heated up between the two space companies, and sometime in 2015, Blue Origin and SpaceX had got into a fight on Twitter over a minor issue, such as the meaning of a used rocket, landed rocket, and space rocket. This fight isn't tangible enough, but a serious fight later came up. SpaceX had previously attempted to launch the Grasshopper rocket multiple times without reaching space, and more battles got escalated on Twitter between SpaceX and Blue Origin. As soon as SpaceX landed the Falcon 9 first stage, which was used to launch a satellite into orbit. During the International Astronautical Congress that held at Guadalajara, Mexico in 2016, the president of Blue Origin, Rob Mayerson, discussed more about the Bezos' vision, which has been previously mentioned by Elon Musk, and perhaps they'll soon adopt. In fact, Blue Origin's new Armstrong will be built to work similarly as SpaceX Interplanetary, which Elon Musk has revealed in the same conference. Coming back to the recent fuse that between the two space companies, Blue Origin ignited grievous spark when SpaceX gave them a blow on their face as they won a $2.9 billion contract to build the lunar for NASA's Artemis program in April 2021. Things got worse when Blue Origin filled a 50-page protest with the federal government accountability officer, proposing to take over the $2.9 billion NASA contract, which SpaceX had already won, and build an additional lander for American astronauts to return to the moon. Unfortunately, before Blue Origin's recent suit, NASA had already announced that Elon Musk's SpaceX is the sole winner in the competition, beating Blue Origin and Dynetics of Huntsville. But surprisingly, Dynetics also filed a protest against SpaceX the following Monday. The chief executive of Blue Origin, Bob Smith, said that NASA took a decision based on flawed presentation of bids and misjudging and neglecting the advantages. Bob Smith's statement is observed to be more like regretting NASA's contract, which has totally been won by SpaceX. Before NASA decided to fully give out the contract to SpaceX, they had previously concluded to choose 2 out of the 3 teams to competitively build the lunar landers, but surprisingly, it happened that they made a single selection, of which is a surprise to the agency's prior goal, and now SpaceX sits at the top of every other space competition that may come up. The highlighted dispute was further digressed that whatever oversized ambitions both billionaires Musk and Bezos have for the future, their ability to generate profits needed for their big dreams solely depends on government massive contracts. Even though they are billionaires themselves, you wouldn't expect them to lift their personal funds and invest in a huge construction that may tend to make them go bankrupt with time. You know, no wealthy man will want to drop down from the level he had attained, not for anything, rather attain greater financial height and become more wealthier. Blue Origin described the award that was handed over to SpaceX winning the lunar contract as a flawed, adding that NASA moved the goalpost when the time was almost off. Though NASA termed the selection of contractors as high risk, and their decision is planned to eliminate opportunities for competition and narrowing the supply base, that won't only be delayed but also would endanger Americans' return to the moon. But with SpaceX, the evolving risk is narrowed to whatever reduced state that will save the sustainability of their prominent company, NASA. Again, Blue Origin revealed that NASA proposed the company's HLS to roughly $5.99 billion, which is twice that of SpaceX. They further argued in the filing that NASA's estimate for funding both proposals would have been under $9 billion. Let's say that is a rough amount, which could be covered up for the fund spent for SpaceX and Boeing to develop competing astronaut capsules. In the protest, Blue Origin wrote that NASA's decision could create a number of issues for the HLS program, but NASA finds it convenient to put all their eggs in one basket. That is, honoring SpaceX the contract. Blue Origin protest bases around 5 objectives. The first objective is that NASA did not give room for SpaceX to have competitors, an opportunity for other space companies to meaningfully compete with SpaceX on the contract. Secondly and thirdly is that Blue Origin had claimed that NASA's acquisition was flawed, and its evaluation of the company's proposal is unreasonable. Fourthly, Blue Origin asserted that NASA improperly and desperately honored SpaceX's proposal without checking through other submitted proposals, violating the ethics of contract vetting status quo. Also, the company instigated that NASA's evaluation of proposals changed the basis it gave to key criteria, like making bid price the most important factor because of funding limitation. The Artemis decision with Elon Musk cements NASA's trust and SpaceX. SpaceX has already launched 6 astronauts to the International Space Station as part of NASA's Commercial Crew Program, and they are soon set to fly more 4 astronauts to space. And right now, NASA is relying on SpaceX as the only space company that is able to launch astronauts into orbit. Boeing is another company NASA has considered to use for their launchings, but they are still conducting unscrewed test launches of its Starliner spaceship. Bezos' fate on landing on the moon is now in jeopardy, as it was specially developed for the Artemis mission, which is recently taken over by SpaceX, and then ultimately designed to send humans to Mars. Out of the 4 companies, Blue Origin and Draper lost out the most, because Lockheed and Northrop are both already working for some crew to commence the Artemis mission. Already, Lockheed has had a success with NASA by building and delivering the first Orion spacecraft to NASA, and the Orion Artemis spacecraft is another part of NASA's uncrewed Artemis mission prepared to commence later in 2021. The Orion module will be like a cargo spacecraft launched on one of the space rockets, which will be sent to the moon and slated to return to Earth after about 3 weeks. Another setback Blue Origin has faced was about the proposed first launch of their heavy lift rocket called New Guian, but will be delayed into late 2022, and that won't account for the progress of the company as expected. They also lost a 5-year-old contract to send the national security equipment into space of the Department of Defense in 2020. The Department of Defense later selected SpaceX and the United Launch Alliance as a joint rocket firm for the mission. As continuous setbacks evolves in Blue Origin's space missions, the future only tends to smile brighter for SpaceX. Maybe because of NASA's credit as the only private company that has brought astronauts to the ISS, and if they continue following the right path, SpaceX will get astronauts to the moon too. Do you think Blue Origin can up their game with time and accomplish a mission that will win the heart of other space companies? Please do well to share your thoughts in the comments section below. Until next time, please like, share, and subscribe. And while you're still around, why don't you click on one of those flashing videos on the screen for more content?